Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Eris Lifesciences Q3 FY 2021 results conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. V. Krishna Kumar, Chief Operating Officer and Executive Director of the company. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are clear and audible.
Great. I am Krishna Kumar, and a hearty welcome to our Q3 conference call. I'm happy to share this quarter's highlights with you. To begin with, I'm happy to report that the domestic pharmaceutical industry, which we refer to as the IPM, it has returned to near normalcy in terms of operations, and the market has registered a growth of 6.4% in Q3. This is in comparison to 1.1% growth last quarter and a negative 5.2% growth in Q1. The growth for the month of December has been 8.5%. This growth has been led by chronic and subchronic therapies, which have grown at 9.4% and 7.9% in quarter 3 respectively. For the quarter ended December 2020, Eris ranks as the fastest growing among the top 25 companies in the Indian pharma market, excluding the COVID molecules Remdesivir and Favipiravir. For the 9-month period ended December 2020, Eris ranks among the top 5 pharma companies in terms of growth. Our growth rate in Q3 was 15.6%, and our growth rate for the 9-month period was 7.8%. We continue to outperform the market in our core cardiometabolic and VMN segments, which together account for 78% of our sales, on the back of relentless execution. Our cardiometabolic segment has grown by 13.6% compared to the covered market growth of 12.2%, and our VMN segment has grown by 39% compared to the cover market growth of 16% during Q3. I'm also happy to share that our acute segment has now course corrected and has grown at 15.4% in Q3 compared to the covered market growth of negative 1.2% during the same period. This is a significant improvement over the 3% growth shown by our acute segment last quarter. 7 of our top 15 mother brands have gained market share during Q3, and the quarter has been also an important one for us in terms of new product launches. We launched Gluxit, which is our brand of dapagliflozin, and this marks our entry into SGLT2 inhibitor, which is an important segment as we continue building our oral anti-diabetes franchise. We also launched Rivalto, which is our brand of rivaroxaban in the anticoagulant segment in cardiac care. We have further enhanced our offering in the cardiac space through the launch of Zayo, which is our brand of sacubitril plus valsartan combination, which is a very important product indicated for the management of heart failure. During the quarter, we also strengthened our senior management team and expanded our board to include 3 additional directors, 1 executive and 2 independent. Now I will move on to the summary of the headline financials for the quarter. Our consolidated revenue from operations has grown to rupees 310 crores in Q3, which indicates a growth of 16.5% over Q3 last year, and consolidated revenue of rupees 933 crore for the 9-month period, which indicates a growth of 13.1% compared to the same period last year. Our consolidated EBITDA has grown to rupees 336 crores for the 9-month period, which represents a growth of 15.4% with the corresponding period last year. This has come about as we start seeing benefits of the investments in people and products that we had made in the previous year. Our consolidated profit after tax for the 9-month period has grown to rupees 287 crores, which is a growth of 19.4% as we continue to do more business out of our tax-efficient Guwahati plant. Our consolidated operating cash flow for the 9-month period was rupees 234 crores, which represents 70% of our consolidated EBITDA. In terms of debtor days, we are well on our way to achieve our guidance as shared on the last call. As we look to the next 12 to 18 months, there are three initiatives that will be very critical for us from an execution standpoint. Number one, we have an interesting pipeline of new product launches lined up for the coming year. Number two, expansion of our doctor reach. So we are making a significant thrust on expanding our doctor reach, especially with consulting physicians. So that's going to be an important initiative for us to execute on. And last but not the least, continue to improve on MR productivity and YPM pursuant to all the people investments we have made last year. So this was a summary of our operations this quarter. Now we are open to take questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Tausif from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So a couple of questions, sir. So can you just give us a highlight, means what's going on in your new derma segment, means have you launched some product and what's going on there? Because I think last year you added something around 450 business executives over there. So first, can you give some light over there?
So I'd request Amit to take this question on the derma segment.
Yeah. Hi Tausif, we don't have a team in cosmetology as of now, derma cosmetology. Our team is very small, which is in single digits. And we didn't expand in this year because of the ongoing conditions. We, however, will think about this in the next financial year. So as far as today is concerned, our people allocation in dermatology, cosmetology is in single digits. And neither the contribution to sale is significant.
So does it mean you're going to hire new MRs for this segment going ahead?
So I've been telling this in the last call also, that for the first 2 quarters at least we have our plates full. As KK was just mentioning, a very exciting pipeline for new products. So anything like this will now be, we'll be able to take a stock only after the first 2 quarters of next year.
Okay. And so what's the current capacity utilization level at the Guwahati plant now?
The current capacity on a 3-shift basis is around 40%, 40-45%.
Okay, that's it from my side. Thanks.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Abdul Puranwala from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking... hello?
Yes, yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. So first question is on the launches what we have done in this quarter. So any guidance you would like to provide as to how big these brands could be? Can this be somewhere around like a 50 to 75 crore opportunity of each brand what we have launched, and the ones what we are planning to launch in the later part of this year?
So I can give you a broad answer, right? It will be, I don't think it makes sense to go into product wise, but whenever we launch a new product and whenever we put resources and efforts behind it, it is with the strategic objective of, making a 100 crore brand in a 3 to 4 year time frame. That is the base intent. Right now, how it will exactly pan out, I think that time will tell. We need to wait and watch.
Sure, sir. And so if we have to break the current quarter growth into volume, price, and new launches, so how would that breakup look like?
So we have not done that analysis. So that is something that, we can do offline and, Priti can get back to you.
Sure, sir. That would be all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. I got disconnected, sorry. So I missed the comment if you have already made that. You talked about 6 key new launches, of which 3 are already done. So what are the next 3 that you are talking about, very broadly?
So I can name a couple, Prakash. One is there is a DAPA plus MET combination that is coming up. Then we have already shared that we are launching a product in the anti-epilepsy segment called Brivaracetam, which is a significant improvement over levetiracetam, which is the prevalent treatment in that area at this point in time. Those are the 2 names that we can share with you.
Okay. And the 3 which are already launched are, one is the DAPA main and the Rivalto, right?
Yes, and we have also launched Zayo.
Also launched?
Zayo.
Oh, got it. Okay, so that was one. Secondly, clearly very strong and good growth given the market conditions. Just in terms of understanding the consistency, if there is any guidance we would like to give whether these kind of growth of early teens is achievable Q4 next year, that would be really helpful. And what would drive the growth? Would it be the cardio diabeto combo and coupled with vitamins? So if you could just give little broad level outlook, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so there are 2 levels to it, Prakash. I think one is, how will FY21 end up at? So I think there it would be, fair to assume that, 9 months are already over, and you've seen that the overall headline financial growth is, at 13% operating revenue, 15% of EBITDA growth, and 19% of profit after tax growth. So it would be fair to assume that, FY21 will end up on a similar trajectory, right? So that's point 1. Point 2 is, I think the next 12 to 18 months, as I mentioned, we have a lot of exciting things happening from an organic execution front. It's about adding new products, it's about adding new customers, it's about improving YPM. So I think net aggregate of all of this, I would say it's reasonable to expect 15% growth in the next financial year.
This is EBITDA or top line you're saying?
Across the board, headline financials.
Okay, that is helpful. Thank you for this. And one more question I had was on the operating cash flow. I think in the past you have shared the number. So what has been the operating cash flow for the quarter and operating cash flow and free cash flow for the quarter and the 9 months?
Yeah, so operating cash flow in Q3 was 93% of EBITDA. And for the 9-month period, it was 70% of EBITDA. So basically, Q3 was 93%, Q2 was 83%, and Q1 was 30% for reasons we all know.
Okay, and we have mentioned that our working capital is moving towards normalcy. Could you highlight from what number of days to what number of days we have achieved, and what is the target by March end?
So end of Q2, our standalone debtors was 51 days. So we have brought it down to a 43, 44 day kind of a target already. So we expect to make a meaningful improvement on by the end of March quarter.
Okay. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Vikrant Kashyap from KDA Securities. Please go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon and congrats on a good set of numbers. My question is related to margins. We have seen significant improvement in our EBITDA margin. So are they sustainable, and do we expect further expansion on margins going forward?
Yeah, so I think it is important to understand for the quarter about the expansion in EBITDA, the growth in the EBITDA that you're seeing. So same time last year we had made significant improvements in people, and also in terms of the Zomelis new product launch as well, right? So
Yeah.
the EBITDA for Q3 and Q4 of last year was suppressed to that extent because of all these investments. And these investments have started paying off, which is why you see this EBITDA growth in this quarter, which is nothing but basically the operating leverage that we have in our business that is playing out. So as I said, the right number to look at is the 9-month number. So, Q3, the financials are before you. So from a 9-month perspective, we have shown a 15-16% growth in EBITDA and 19+% growth in profit after tax. And we expect that we will end the year with a similar kind of growth numbers on the profit front.
Okay. So thank you very much and wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just one first question is on, when I look at the standard numbers, and if I just exclude Zomelis from there, just to see how the rest of the portfolio is doing, just the assumption of Zomelis like something 12-13 crore a quarter, I see that then our growth is no different from the market. Market, as per AIOCD number, has grown at 6-7%, and our portfolio seems to be growing at 7% as well. Would you say there's some problem in the calculation, or what was the reason that despite such a heavy chronic portfolio, the next would being less than the market percentage, we are still growing at market growth rate?
So Anubhav, in Q3 we had Zomelis launch in the last year also. So Q3 numbers which you are seeing is more or less, line to line.
No, we were not including it. We started including it from Q1 only, right?
No.
We had the agreement with the innovator, right? That was.
No, we didn't tell you the numbers. Yeah, Priti, please.
Anubhav, the agreement was that Abbott couldn't sell after April, but until then, both of us are allowed to sell. So even Eris had Zomelis sales in Q3.
So then what will be like-to-like number if I just want to compare versus market growth rate of 7%?
So you can safely assume that Q3 is more or less a reflection of, is a clear-cut reflection, where Zomelis more or less has been evened out. Because Anubhav, when we build for the first time, the billing quantities are generally larger.
Okay. So even last year you would have had a low double-digit Zomelis kind of sales.
Yes, it is right.
And then what is the reason that when you show in the presentation you had such a fantastic quarter on the vitamin side, where we show almost like 40% kind of growth there? So is that AIOCD error, or there was something special which happened in the quarter?
Okay, so Anubhav, look, errors, there are a little bit of errors across the board, even cardio, diabetes, but on an aggregate level, it is all okay. The reason for the growth on the vitamin side is because we launched a product called Zagdi in the month of September. And, I'm happy to tell you that Zagdi was ranked as number 7 overall multivitamin in the prescription data. So we've seen some good traction there. And this is one of its kind product which gives all the important immunity building nutraceuticals at the optimum dose. So the major jump coming is from Zagdi.
Okay. So that would have led to so much. Okay. And so, how would the number of reps there used to disclose this number, and that is very helpful to calculate your YPM. Either you disclose YPM or one of the things that will be very helpful. So all other companies in the India business, even they don't, so everybody reports their YPM number at least on the call. That will be helpful. Then we can track how you are improving it.
Sure. So, Anubhav, we have closed down one business, which is the ART business, that is the hormone business in gynecology. So there has been a reduction of around 90 people at a top line level. Kruti will correct me, but I think our YPM is 4.4 lakhs for the quarter.
4.4 lakhs for the console business. For the standalone business, it is 4.6, which was 3.8 in Q3 last year.
Okay. That's helpful. And so lastly, just one question on the receivable side. You mentioned that number, and that was a very helpful reduction. Can you just talk about a little bit that what's happening? So I can understand that it was a challenging time and the numbers could have gone up. What is driving the reduction down to the normal level? So we were doing 30 days till fiscal 19, and then we went to 50, and we are guiding to come back to 40, and 40 will remain our new level. That's what I have understood so far. So can you just talk about what has happened as a background here when we're talking about higher receivable levels to continue for the time?
Yeah. So Anubhav, just to answer that, you're absolutely right that, we were at 30, and I continue to believe that, 30 is the right level to target, because, 21 days, everybody is on that period now. And then, the 21 days count actually starts not from the date of my invoicing, but it actually starts for the stockist from the date of receipt of goods, which is usually 3 to 5 days. Right. So I think 27, 28 days or rounding it off to 30 days, that's the ideal to target. Now, the problem that happened was, during the COVID period, this transit days of 3 to 5 days was basically, it became unpredictable. So there was no point in, trying to characterize it was different number of days for different parts of the country and so on and so forth. And so it was necessary for us to accommodate that during that period, and that is what has primarily led to a ballooning of the debtor days. And now that situation is starting to get corrected, because obviously the payment for the sales of the past months has all come in, and whatever receivables that you see are building up in the latest quarter are to do with the sales of this maximum is about the sales of the last month. But as this transit time keeps going back to its normal level of 3 to 5 days, then our receivables will also keep going down. So 40 days, I picked that 40 days as an anchor because that is what we had guided on the last call. That is what we will get to in the near term. But our target effectively remains 30 days, so we will continue driving towards that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. I'm done with my question.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is a follow-up from the line of Abdul Puranwala from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up. So on the promotion and the marketing activities, so in the first half we have seen a considerable cost savings. So as compared to first half, where are we currently in Q3, and where do we see this cost rising to going ahead in Q4?
Yeah, so if you see our consolidated financials, then I think this promotional, and marketing expenses are, contained in other expenses, and there is obviously a reduction in that, compared to Q3 of last year, in the Q3 of this year, which is, an important thing that has led to the expansion in our EBITDA margin, and also thereon. So I think it is fair to assume that Q4 will be very similar to Q3, which is why I had mentioned earlier that at a margin, at a profit growth level, we'll be similar at the end of FY21 at a similar level as what we have for the 9 months ended numbers. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, that's helpful. And my second question is on the EHPL business. So considering that we are in this market for the last 6 to 9 months, how do we see this business shaping for us in the next year, or maybe from a year 2-3 years horizon perspective?
Yes, Amit will answer that question.
Yeah, actually I will answer this question in the next quarter call. By that time we will finish our meetings and I'll be able to give you a color on that.
Sure, sir. That will be all from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Aniket Khanwalkar from Trivikram Consultants. Please go ahead.
Hello. So, sir, I have a question on Zomelis. What was the revenue for Zomelis in this quarter? And in earlier call, you have guided for a 40 crore revenue guidance for Zomelis. So, like, can you comment on that guidance? Like, what are we expecting in the next quarter?
So we are on track to meet that guidance for this financial year as far as Zomelis is concerned. And, I'll invite Amit to give some more color on it if he wishes to.
Yeah, I think that is simple and clear. So we are hitting our 40 crore mark by the end of the year. And the quarterly numbers are also in the same line. We have been reporting for the last 2 quarters. It doesn't change as much. It is in the same line. Almost 10 crores, close to 10 crores for the quarter. 12 crores.
Okay.
Yeah.
12 crores.
12 crores for this quarter.
Okay. This answers my question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Runjhun Jain from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations to the management for good set of numbers. So just I need one clarification. You're talking about next year's guidance of 15% in headline financials, that is for top line EBITDA and PAT. So we are not expecting any EBITDA margins improvement for the next year, and if not, why not? Because we do have a good, interesting pipeline for next 12 to 18 months. Thank you.
So I gather that your question is that, why are we talking about a 15%, growth across parameters, and why are we not talking about a higher growth on EBITDA? Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think this is, the best visibility of what we see for the next financial year coming up. It is possible, that margins might expand faster. But this is the base case of what we see as happening, and so this is basically what we believe we can communicate to you at this point. And if there are any updates to this, then we'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Kunal Dhamesha from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. So I think it's continuation of one of the previous participants' question that sales and promotion expense, while you have provided some color on the quarter 4, but what is your view in terms of how sales and promotion expenses would move in FY22? Would it be at a similar level to what we have seen in FY20, or so basically will it normalize to that level, or do you see that there would be some savings which would continue in FY22 and then the exact normalization would happen in FY23? Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of absolute expense, my sales, marketing and promotion expenses will go up because we are launching new products. We are launching 2 more products in the next couple of months, and then we have a interesting pipeline of new launches lined up for the next financial year as well, right? So on an absolute basis, the numbers are going to go up, but then so are my sales. So at the end of the day, we expect that, we will continue to get a good operating leverage in terms of, the spending that we make on sales, marketing and promotion. Yes, so I think the percentage to sales is not something that we are expecting to change dramatically.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the follow-up. Just wanted to understand, you spoke about 15% growth for next year. I understand, the base for this year itself is quite low across companies. So what is the industry level growth you are projecting or, thinking when you are pegging it at 15% for yourself?
Prakash, we expect the industry to be between 10 to 12% for the next year.
Okay. And we plan to grow at 15% plus.
Yeah, that's the base case scenario.
Okay, great. And secondly, on the cash position, so since you spoke about, a decent amount of strong operating cash flow, what is the cash position today as on December, and what is the plan for the usage?
Yeah, so our treasury at the end of, on 31st December was 261 crores, and as of today it is 286 crores. So I think in terms of, the use of cash, one thing I think that has also been discussed in our last call is our DPR, which we expect to maintain, 20% kind of a DPR for sure. I think insofar as, any other use is concerned, one question that always comes to us is about acquisitions. I think as we all have seen in the past, we are open to it. But what I have to say is the next 12 to 18 months are so rigorous for us in terms of organic execution that we have limited bandwidth to pursue anything else. But having said that, we are always open to the right opportunities for investments. So, time will tell. We have to watch as we go along.
Okay, thank you. That'll be all. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is a follow-up from the line of Anupam Agarwal from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. My question pertains to your capex outlay. I understand that Guwahati is still at 40-45% utilization. Any plans for putting up new capex in the coming 2 years?
No, Lucky. So this time we don't see any capex because we are done with our the soft gel and food facility that we wanted to have in Guwahati. So we don't see anything this year. There will be some maintenance capex to the tune of 15-20 crores. That's what we see, which happens every year. So that's it.
Okay. So just to follow up on this, on the current block of asset that we have, gross block, what is the sales potential that we have from the company?
Can you please repeat the question?
From the current gross block that we have put in the company on a consolidated level, what is the sales that can be done?
So I take that question. I think it's an interesting question. We haven't thought about it that way because we are not a fixed asset heavy kind of a business. So fixed asset turnover ratio is not a parameter that we particularly track. But since you asked us the question, let's work it out and get back to you.
Sure, sir. No problem. I'll take it offline with you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Bhagwan Chaudhary from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Can you please say your generic business numbers? What was it in 9 months versus around 9 months last year?
Sorry, your voice is not very clear. I'm sorry. Could you repeat your question, please?
What was your 9-month generic business number versus 9 months last year?
55. It was 55 crores.
And what was it in the current month, sir? And what was it in the last 9 months? Last year 9 months?
Last year it was not there, so there is no base to it.
And in the current quarter and last year, current same quarter?
Eris Healthcare as a business started March last year. March was the first billing, so we don't have a 9-month equivalent comparison. So whatever sales you see this year is all pertaining to this year itself.
Okay. So what was in the current quarter?
Current is 11 crores.
11 crores in the current quarter.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Vikrant Kashyap from KDI Securities. Please go ahead.
Sir, in your presentation, you have mentioned that large high growth molecules to go off patent in near future in diabetes and cardiac. So could you please throw some light on that, how big this opportunity is and how much benefit we can take out of that?
Yeah, so Vikrant, very interesting question. Unfortunately, these are very, as I already mentioned, they are interesting molecules, so we are not at liberty to, talk about specific names. But I think it's fair to assume that, given our pole position in cardiometabolic, we will get our fair share of the market share, as and when these products get launched. So that is what we have assumed in our base assumptions. And I think it would be appropriate to leave it at that.
Okay. 40.5. And also, in this quarter or in the last quarter, we see recovery in acute segment, and we have outperformed the market by large margin. So how do you see this continuing going forward?
I would request Amit to respond to that.
Okay. So, you've seen the numbers. The total contribution of acute has actually shrunk quite a bit. So, even if we do very well, does it make a large difference to the overall numbers? The answer is no. So, it's just a statement saying that whatever little part was in pain has also, come out and is doing well now.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anshul Sehgal from Kotak PMS. Please go ahead.
Good evening. I just have a bookkeeping question. On your depreciation and amortization, that number has come off from the same quarter of last year. Could you just give some clarity on why that has happened?
Can you please repeat? It has reduced from the last year.
That's right. Same quarter last year, it used to be about 11 odd crores. This quarter it's about 9 crores.
Yeah. So basically it is on WDV basis. So if we don't add any asset in the last 12 months, in TTM basis, it will come down. We have not added too many assets. Yeah.
Got it. All right. That's all that I needed to ask. Thanks.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of MS Rajashekar, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. We took over Strides portfolios for about 500 crore deal. How far has it been integrated with the company? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah. So the portfolio and the business has been completely integrated into the company. And there are a couple of facets of the integration that I would like to talk about. So, when this business was acquired, all the products were being manufactured by third-party providers. And because of that, the cost of the business was pretty high. It was 35%. And, suffice to say that we have brought in most of the portfolio into our Guwahati facility, including, one of the last products to come in was the Reno soft gel, for which we set up the soft gel capability in Guwahati. And there are very few products from that portfolio that are manufactured outside now. So the cost of goods sold has, improved from 35% to more or less in line with our corporate average of 18 to 19%. So that is one aspect of integration I would like to highlight. The second aspect is when this portfolio was acquired, there were nearly 1,100 representatives who were promoting this portfolio, and that number is close to 600 now. So, we have found a way to accommodate the portfolio in all, nearly half the number of reps and, who are clearly operating at a higher efficiency level. So these are the two significant ways in which we have been able to integrate it.
Okay, but I think if you look at you taking over Strides as well as with your own launches, your growth number should be much higher than what you are anticipating. Can you please give a thought on that?
Yeah, so I think how much has the Strides portfolio contributed to our growth versus, how much have the other products contributed? I think that data is there in AIOCD. And, that is free for anybody to see. If you require, then I'm sure Kruti can, work it out and get back to you. But I think given Strides is so completely integrated into the system, we don't track Strides and, other products separately anymore. In our internal tracking, it's all one business. And when we project growth for this base from here on going forward, we refer to it as organic growth.
That's right. But you are already growing by about, if I get it right, you are already growing at about 10-12%. So next year with your new launches, should your growth not be higher?
Yeah, that is, I think, for us to wait and watch and for time to tell. At this point, as I mentioned before, 15% is, what we believe is appropriate to give out at this point, given the visibility that we have. And I hope that you're right, and it turns out to be much higher.
You're right. It has to be much higher. Okay. Thank you. This is all. Thanks for the clarification, please. Thanks.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to Mr. Krishna Kumar for closing comments.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your time. So, in terms of summarizing it, I would like to reiterate the following, key highlights. One is that for the quarter, we have been among the fastest growing companies in the non-COVID market. Our superior positioning with strong brands in, the chronic and subchronic therapies positions us well for growth going forward. And all key levers of our system, which is cardiometabolic, VMN and acute, are now firing together. Our fundamental metrics remain intact. It's about our operating margins, net margins, cash flow generation, return on equity, and so on. We have made significant strides in strengthening our corporate governance in this quarter. We expect to end FY21 with strong growth in all headline financial parameters, as in line with our 9-month results. And our key themes for FY22 and beyond would be number 1, new product launches, number 2, expanding doctor reach, especially with consulting physicians, and number 3, continue to improve our MR productivity and YPM. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Eris Lifesciences, that concludes this conference. We thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.